Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Worthy, Worth It, and Priceless. I am your host, Tammy Simmons, and this episode is titled Drop the Leaves. And before I get into it, there is a lot. Um, One, I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast and everything. I found out recently that the podcast has been on Feedspot's like top 16 podcasts for self-worth. So this podcast has made it to number 2, so I want to thank everyone for that. Um as well, God is so good. Like I barely promote or anything like that, but God is still making a way and everything. And also the podcast is on streaming platforms. I do have books out. I am working on a book or trying to put them all together. We'll talk about that in another podcast. Um, but also, if you need encouraging music or anything, I am on all streaming platforms under my full name, Tammy Michelle Simmons. So, got that out the way. Now, the other thing, I know I have been absent and it has been a lot, but, also when my daughter is actually out of school, she goes to school all year round, but she does have some little time, so during that time, I kinda take breaks, but what I'll probably do next time and going forward is just make podcast episodes ahead of time, so we don't have this break. But there's also more to the break, and I will talk about that within the episode. So anywho, the podcast episode for today is Drop the Leaves. Now, I live around trees and I seem to have studied the trees or whatever. Like I love looking outside and views and things like that. And so I've watched the trees go through their whole life process. And so what I found interesting, I seen a video on TikTok. And in the video, the guy was talking about the trees and was saying that if they kept the leaves, then they would die. Sometimes like, well, why does the leaves have to leave or whatever? But if the trees, and I'm paraphrasing, but if the trees kept the leaves would basically kill the tree. And even so I'll look through it. So, like basically the leaves fall off where they change colors and everything in fall. And then winter, they're basically there by themselves. The trees are there by themselves. They're basically coated by snow. I live up north, so we have brutal winters. And I watch these trees. Like I said, they're like right outside my house. So I watch them. And some might lose a branch or something like that, and the ice might be a little bit too much. But then around spring or whatever, and you see the little buds and everything on them, and the leaves come back for spring and summer. Then they fall off again in fall. And I realized that that is kind of like our lives, that it seems like people are there for the good times. They're there for the springs and the summers, and then fall happens, and then they start to change and they wither away. And then the winter comes, and it's just you and God. God is just giving you that covering. And then the spring comes, and now you get new friends, you get new leaves because you had to go through something in those winter months with the Lord. It is that revealing. And that was the part that I wanted to talk to you guys about too, that I was talking about in the beginning of the podcast. It I God had to basically sit me down for a moment. As you know, a lot of stuff has happened, but there is a lot of stuff that I have not shared that happened as well. And I'm still trying to put it into words, so that'll be for another time. But what I can say is God has been revealing things to me. He has been showing me where people had me messed up. And I'm not saying that to, boost the ego or anything like that, but I'm very serious. I didn't always know my worth, identity, things like that. And so because of I had low self-esteem from childhood and stuff like that, all that stuff happened, people took advantage of it, whether they knowingly did it or they didn't. And I take responsibility for my half too, but I'm just telling you the story. It was like to the point that I was calling out things, just say in relationships with people, like, hey, that isn't right. You shouldn't do that, or, you know, whatever. And they made it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't see what I saw. I didn't know what I know. And the next thing you know, it's like, and it basically kept you or kept me in a cycle. And so now I'm sitting there because I'm like, I know I saw what I saw, but you're telling me I didn't see what I saw. And so now I'm doubting myself because I'm like, hold on. Like, you know what I mean? And I know some of you guys have been in that same situation. Like, hold on. Cause I seen you with B, and you saying that wasn't B who I saw you with, but okay. But it made me start questioning myself. So much so that I would go to other people for their opinions because I didn't trust my own. When I just had to sit down for a minute, that is what happened. God was like, hold on. No, you're not crazy. You saw what you saw. People benefited off of you not knowing who you were. And a part of me, the things that people have said to me during that, trying to keep me in that cloud of cycles or whatever the heck was going on, because of that, now, like I said, I'm doubting myself. I'm not believing myself. Now I'm going to other people for their opinions of what things I should do or whatever. So I'm not even trusting myself through this whole process. And not only that, now I'm starting to repeat the things that they have said to me. Now I'm becoming my own monster. So I basically have, so there's a part of me that doesn't really have a safe space at all, because now I'm telling myself the same things that other people have said. I'm not trusting myself or anything. So it's like, wait a minute. And so I needed that time to be by myself, because even like, I think it was like coming up to my birthday, and there was a release that had to happen. And so just say I would be sitting somewhere, and God would give me a flashback of something that happened. And then he would basically show me the truth, show me the lies and all this other stuff. And sometimes, like, I couldn't talk or anything. Like, I was just in the bed because it was just so much of a release and things that had to fall off of me. And there's no way I could have came here and like, hey, y'all, this is what happened because I was going through it. Although, we often people say like, it feels good to release and relieve and stuff, but sometimes you have to recover from that. You can't let everybody see that process. Even like, as you know, with women having babies, you don't see the whole process of what's going on with that baby inside of her. It's a covering that has to happen. You have to have special equipment to see what's going on with the baby. And so when God is taking you from one season to the next, you may have a season where you're lonely because He needs to talk to you. He needs to reveal things to you because the thing about it is that old woman, the old version of me, was not able or isn't able to go into the new season because that old version was remembering the things that people said to her from childhood to 42. She can't go 43 and beyond because at the end of the day, the God has more for me in the next season. And that's the same thing for you. And you're like, well, where's all my friends and all these people and all this? Because they love the version of you that is no longer, that is no more. A lot of people loved the broken parts of me, that broken version. And I'm not saying that like they took advantage or anything, but they met me. That's probably a better way. When I was broken. And I'm no longer that person. So the things that I may have tolerated while I was broken and I was remembering or thinking of these, like, believing these lies is not the same person in this new season. So everybody can't come with you. So it is a time where you have to drop those leaves. The leaves that you thought that, hey, man, you were, you know what I mean? Like we just went through 2 seasons together, spring and summer. You know what I mean? You're thinking that this person is going to be with you through the winter months and all of that, but all of a sudden they start to change. And maybe it's not even just them. You start to change because God is revealing more. You're having more experiences. You're starting to go places and do certain things. And all of a sudden, their lives is going in one direction and yours is going in another. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be like, you know, a tragedy or a toxic situation. Just sometimes you grow apart from people. Appreciate the moments that you had with that person, but also realize and be quick if you can to let go because you have more life to live. The tree doesn't die because the leaves leave. They actually get stronger. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with you. You need that time with God. Sometimes it's just so much going on. You know what I mean? Sometimes we multitask. I'll say it that way. You may have the TV on, and this is just like metaphorically, but you have the TV going on, you have your laptop, you're on your phone playing a game. You know what I mean? That's a lot. That's a lot of overstimulation. And sometimes God just has to get you by himself to show you who you really are, to show you who he meant for you to be. And he can't have outside forces and people like, oh, well, no, but you should be this or you should do this. This is a great idea, but I see you as this. It doesn't matter what other people see you as. It matters what God sees you as. It's time for us to keep going and start going in the direction that God has us, not people, because people might see something, but God sees something else. He knows what He placed on the inside of you. Some people are in love with the broken version of you. I'm not saying that they're bad or wrong, but that is the belief that you had, just say from childhood till now. But God knows what He created in you, the gifts and talents that He put into you. You even haven't met that person yet. You haven't met that version of you. And I'll go back to something. When I was, just say, about 2017, when the whole relationship ended, if you were to tell me, what is it, 9 years? 9 years later, I would be making music, I would have written books, I would have had a podcast, I wouldn't have seen that because I was a broken person at that time. I had the videos, I was doing videos encouraging things, but I didn't see it past that. And as we're going on our journeys, God is revealing more to you who you are, who He created you to be. So when those leaves fall, let them fall. Mourn how you need to mourn. Take out your time. Take out the time. Because I know we live in a world now and they're like, well, what is it? You have to be consistent. You have to do this and you have to do that and you have the algorithm, all of this. But you matter more than the algorithm. People drive themselves crazy trying to, make sure that they're on deadlines and things like that. And it's not that you're not going to grow your business or you're not going to grow anything, but you matter. Like someone was telling me, like when I was taking the break, and they were like, your voice is still going to be there. You're still going to have podcasts, you're still going to have that, but you have to take care of yourself. And that's the same thing I want to say to you. Those leaves may fall, let them fall. The people may leave, let them leave. What matters most is you, your relationship with God and you. Because if you are out of the game is over. Okay? Well, that's how it is in the video games, okay? No, I'm just but either way, I love you guys. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for listening to the podcast. It means the world to me. I don't know why I'm getting sentimental. Let me get off this mic before I start crying on y'all. But I love you guys. And until next time, always know that you have worth, you have value, you are always worthy, worth it, and priceless.